Hey guys, how's it going? So today I'm going to do a basic first impressions and general overview and review of a new shotgun that I got. And this is the LH12 Lynx semi-automatic shotgun. And basically what we have here is a Kalashnikov or an AK-47 style semi-automatic 12 gauge. Now this Lynx is made in China, and it is imported by a company called SDS Imports. So this is the SDX Lynx. Take a quick look at it here. We see a Kalashnikov style buttstock with a rubber recoil pad. Coming up a little forward, we have a standard Kalashnikov style grip. We have a detachable 5-round box magazine. We have a handguard that looks a lot like some of your sporter AKs. Think like a Vapor or a Saiga, where basically we have the lower handguard that protects the shooter from the barrel, but we have a naked gas tube, so there's no upper handguard on this. This gun features a 19-inch chrome-lined barrel. On this particular edition I have right here, we have the hard chrome bolt and bolt carrier. This was a deal that Classic was selling about a month ago, and they were actually blowing these out. Now keep in mind, guys, this is basically a budget Kalashnikov style shotgun. I paid 300 bucks for it. So for that price, I thought I'd have to try it. And China is kind of famous for AKs. Think Polytech, Norinco, some of the more desirable pre-banned guns were made in China. So China does have a long lineage of making pretty darn good and high quality Kalashnikovs. So I figured I'd grab it up. So this gun literally is a Kalashnikov pattern. We're going to see that it has the heavy 1.5 or 1.6 millimeter thick stamped sheet metal receiver that's riveted into place in both the front trunnion and the rear trunnion. On this particular gun, we have the chrome line bolt carrier and bolt. We also have a forged front trunnion and a forged bolt. So these are the two parts that you're probably going to care the most about when it comes to metallurgy, strength, hardness, things like that. So this is a good thing. Forged trunnion, forged bolt. It has a 3-inch chamber. On this side over here, we do have the side mount scope rail, which is going to be pretty standard, like you're going to see on many Kalashnikovs. We can see here, SDS Imports, Lynx 12. Take a look at the rivets here. The rivets appear to be well formed. Nice shape. I don't notice any excessive dimpling of the receiver. I don't see any kind of nicks or chips or smiley faces in any of the rivets. They all seem to be rather flush, so looks like a decent rivet job for what it is. We have an AK style top cover or dust cover. I would note though that due to the size of the big 12 gauge bolt and carrier assembly, we're going to notice it's cut out a little bit further than it usually is. So this has an extra piece that you're not going to see in a regular Kalashnikov style rifle. And there's actually an extra piece here that's just kind of floating in place, and it's captive by the recoil and guide rod assembly. And this basically just serves as a dust cover. So we have an extra little dust cover piece to accommodate for this rather large window. Kind of a little bit goofy, but if you've had Kalashnikov 12 gauges, even the ones made in Russia, you'll find that's pretty standard fare. So let's go down to the 5-round box magazine, which is what comes with it. You're going to notice the manual of arms is basically the same as your regular AK rifle. There's a catch-release tab in the back that we can just simply depress. And we can rock the magazine forward and out of the shotgun. This magazine, I haven't test fired it yet. This is just an initial overview. Kind of has a little bit of a cheap, flimsy, thin, plasticky feeling. Not quite sure yet how good this mag's going to be or not, but hey, I'm not going to doubt it till it either does good or till it fails me, right? It does seem like there is actually a small amount of steel that's inserted around the back of this mag. Right on the back here, which that's nice actually. That is actually going to add some rigidity to this important portion, right, where the bolt's going to be coming through to strip rounds off the mag. So, nice. So it's mainly polymer with a little sheet metal piece that's affixed there to the back of the mag. Same thing as an AK. Normal AK rifle, you're going to have the rock and lock where you're going to start in from the nose of the mag and then just come up, and it's going to interface in and click in and engage there on the mag catch. The pistol grip is a standard Kalashnikov style pistol grip, so you should be able to, you know, interface any type of AK grip that you already have on here, which that's pretty cool. This is more of a hard, you know, polymer type. Now with the buttstock, this is basically, again, a regular Kalashnikov pattern. And this is what's kind of cool about the Lynx 12. If you guys are into regular Chinese AKs, think like even a Mac 90 Sporter, right? A Norinco, and you go to take the buttstock out, you find yourself in a little situation if you try to put something other than a Chinese buttstock in. Because a normal AKM has a 1mm thick receiver, whereas the Chinese have always had a 1.5, or more specifically 1.6mm, right? So what happens is if you try to put a regular Kalashnikov buttstock in here, like a European pattern, it's not going to fit. You're going to have to whittle some wood around the actual part that interfaces to the rear tang of the trunnion, right? Well, this is what SDS did, or rather China did, with SDS's specifications to make this gun a lot more friendly to changing the furniture. We still have the thick receiver wall, but they made the thickness on the outside. So the inner width channel on the inside of this rear trunnion receiver is supposed to be of the regular AKM style. I've not tested it yet. We'll do a follow-up review later to confirm this, but everything that I'm reading about this gun, this will take standard AKM buttstock, even though it's a thick Chinese receiver. Hopefully that did get confusing, but you AK guys that have Chinese AKs, you know what I'm talking about. That's supposed to not be a problem here, which is a good thing. The dust cover is held in with a little retention button here. And you'll find this on a lot of like your RPKs and like your Yugo Kalashnikov variants. So generally this is a sign of a little bit heavier duty type setup to basically ensure that no matter how high the recoil is, that this dust cover is not going to be able to, you know, ride up and over the little back part of the recoil rod. You know, the button as we all like to call it. So that's certainly a nice feature to have. I would notice that this is not a ribbed reinforcement, but simply a very heavy, thick dust cover, which we'll see on a lot of regular Kalashnikov variants, especially the older milled style. So this reminds me more of a, you know, an AK-47 milled type dust cover. Nice and thick, very substantial and heavy. I'm not going to take the gun apart right now. That'll be in a future video. Let's go down to the end of this 19-inch barrel. Again, chrome lined. That's always a plus. We have a muzzle device on here. Now this is standard right-hand thread, unlike a normal Kalashnikov, which is going to be a left-hand thread. This one we do actually, you know, lefty-loosey, righty-tighty. And what you're going to find is this is just a cover that protects the threads. The thread pattern on this is Saiga pattern. So your Russian Saiga 12s, you're going to be able to use the same type of muzzle devices, whether it's an external choke or a muzzle brake. I would also note that the magazines, this is fine thread guys, it takes a lot of screwing there. The magazines are also a Saiga 12 pattern, so that's pretty cool. You know, if I were to pick any pattern, I'd probably choose this to be the Saiga pattern, just because there's so many types of mags out there, so many types of muzzle devices, pretty standard. You're not going to have trouble getting, you know, whatever you need for this gun as far as that goes. So about initial feel here, the gun's actually very lightweight for a 12 gauge. Feels very well balanced, quite comfortable. Looking down the sights, we just have a basic bead sight on the front of the gas block. Nothing fancy there, just kind of a shotgun sight. And then in the rear, just forward of the dust cover, or the top cover, we just have a simple blade with a notch. So a V-notched blade sight. You guys can probably see that right there. So nothing too fancy with the sights, but this is a 12 gauge, not a precision rifle, so probably good enough. The only thing I could see doing is maybe just touching the, you know, the back side of this little post with maybe a little bit of like pink or red nail polish just to pick it up a little bit better, but not a big deal. This gun is set up, back to this front area here, this gun is set up with an adjustable gas system, so this is a pretty nice feature, especially on a $300 shotgun. And we basically have 4 settings. There's a little plunger that we can push in from the end with like a bullet tip or a tool. I'll show that during the later review, but we just push in on a little detent here basically. Not much different than the detent that holds your normal muzzle device on an AK. So you just push it in, and it has 4 settings. The lowest setting would be completely off, no gas, so you would basically have to cycle this like a bolt action. Then there's low gas setting, medium gas setting, and high gas setting. So basically off, and then 3 other settings. So that's nice. And the reason you would want to do that is basically this. If you're going to shoot some really cheap, like, you know, 7.5 shot, 8 shot, just the cheap old ammo you can buy, right? You might want to turn the gas all the way up because there's not as stiff of a powder charge in that load. Now, if you have a full house, you know, 15 pellet, double-aught buck, 3-inch Magnum round, or a 3-inch, you know, slug, you might want to turn the gas down to number 2 or number 1, right? Because you might end up with excess recoil if you leave it all the way open. So that is nice that we have some adjustability because, as you guys know, there's a wide range of different power levels of 12-gauge shotgun shells out there. So yeah, that's pretty cool. The general action of the gun feels very smooth, actually. I'm very impressed. Not much hitch. The bolt and carriers seem to slide back and forth with a rather high degree of fit and finish. The fact that this is hard chromed, I'm sure isn't hurting that. That's also really nice for the cycling. You know, kind of a little bit more lubrous than a Parkerized part like we see on some AKs. Now, the selector, otherwise known as the safety, technically it's a selector, guys, but we can call it a safety, is a little bit different than some of the Kalashnikovs. I mean, it's the same manual of arms, but we have the ledge in the front where you could, you know, actuate it like this. Up is safe, down is fire. But there's this rear ledge back here, okay? And what that does is it allows the shooter to actually be in his firing grip and just take his forefinger. And note how easy this is, guys. Literally, just a flick of a finger. Many AKs, you actually have to grab onto this thing and reef it up and reef it back down. Now, this is a fine line. Too tight is a bad thing. But if it's too loose, that's a bad thing too. Now, just sitting here, you know, dry firing the gun, this is nice. I just barely touch it with my forefinger. I'm almost hoping this isn't too loose, though. If there's not enough tension, it is possible in theory, under recoil of fire, for this to slowly creep up and put the gun on safe on its own. I'm going to be shooting the gun soon. We'll see if that's a problem. So, as long as that doesn't give me an issue, I'm really liking the actuation of this safety. Look at that, how handy that is. So you could basically go down, you're on safe, go down to fire, right there at the trigger. Speaking of which, the trigger pull. The trigger pull is also actually very good on this gun. Take a look at the trigger here. Not much creep at all. Basically, you start to pull on it, and it instantly goes into a break. Now, is this a target match grade trigger? Of course not. This is a Kalashnikov, guys. But by AK standards, excellent trigger. So I'm going to pull the trigger again. Rather light. Pretty smooth. Let's cycle the gun to get reset. The reset is right there. Very, very strong reset. It just kicks the trigger right back out. Nice and loud, firm. You feel it, hear it. And then take your follow-up shot. So far so good, guys. The gun feels great in my shoulder here. The sights are definitely doable. It seems pretty light. The action is very smooth. I love how easy it is to use my forefinger to manipulate the selector. Trigger is plenty good enough. For an AK, this is good. Great reset. Take Saiga mags. Saiga muzzle devices. We're going to test this to make sure, but supposedly AKM style buttstock and AK pistol grip with a standard AK optic side rail here. Hammer forged front trunnion. Hammer forged bolt. And with this particular series, hard chrome finish bolt and carrier. You can get these with the chrome bolt and carriers or without, so that is an option. One more thing, sling swivel here on the side of the buttstock, left hand side. the other front sling swivel is underneath the fore end or the lower handguard. So $300. I'm pretty excited. Gun feels and acts, just test fire, just test functioning it here. Haven't fired it yet, but just bench testing it here. Overview, whatever you want to call it. Pretty impressed, guys. Let me know what you guys think about this gun. I'm definitely going to do a couple more videos on it. We can do a field strip. I definitely want to do a shooting video, and then we can talk more about it and see how it works. Let me know if you guys have one of these and what you guys think about it. And if you liked the video, give me a thumbs up. If you think your friends would enjoy the channel, let them know. And if you feel like you can help throw me a bone, my Patreon and my Subscribe Star links are down in the description. Any help would be appreciated. I spend pretty much, all of my own money on this. So, all right, guys. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.